Okay, we're recording.
It looks like I'm, hello. Welcome to the Mother's Days. Couldn't even say the word right. Mother's Days. If you're watching YouTube, it looks like I'm caressing my right breast, but I've popped a rib out. So when I cough, it hurts so much. And if you're also watching YouTube, you will see that we have a little guest, a little quiet, chunky guest with beautiful lips.
A 1 week old sleeping nugget.
Oh my God, she's so cute, Sarah.
I mean, it's like the greatest thing in the whole world. Our coloring both looks really bad because it's nighttime here and there's no lighting in my room at all. So it's like the best I can do with light. I hope you guys can see us okay.
Her hands are so big.
Look
how big they are. They're huge. She is the sweetest. I just got to see like part of the family dynamic here with the 3 girls, your 3 daughters, all picking her up and cuddling her and kissing her and just wanting to be with her and get every last little second of time with her. It must feel so good.
We've had a lot of conversations about how babies really don't love a lot of transitions. So if baby's nursing, it's not the time to grab baby. If baby is, and funny enough, it's like Esme's such a little mama that she wants to hold her all the time, So she's always like, can I hold her? Is it time? And I'm like, totally, but I'm like, don't move around too much. Cause you have to have that it's hard because they want to feel her and feel how it feels. I want to hold her up. I want to hold her like this. I want to put her on my knees. I want to
do they want to be like, I want to show her my room. I want to take her here. Have they done anything?
Not walking around with the baby. She's like such a dumpling. I'm having my own intrusive thoughts about standing up and holding her. I'm like, what if I dropped her? How many times have so my 4th baby and I still shudder like this, thinking she fell out of my arms somehow.
Oh God. It's the worst. My friend dropped her baby no, this is what happened. She was arriving at my house for a birthday party and she was getting the baby out of the car seat, but didn't know maybe her partner had unbuckled the baby already and it was quite new. It was 2 months old. And she sort of just pulled the car seat forward, not knowing that the baby was not latched in. And it fell onto the rocks out the front of she screamed. But my friend Kat Mason was at the birthday and Kat Mason, is my bestie and paramedic and whatever. And so they ran in to get Kat to check on her and she was crying, but she was fine. She didn't fall that far, but my girlfriend has been so rattled ever since. She was like, that was the worst moment of my parenting experience.
Oh, I mean, that would give me absolute nightmares, crazy nightmares. Because I already
PTSD.
I already get intrusive thoughts and that would ruin me. Anything that's an almost or could have been or what if is so hard for your brain to go through.
I know.
But wow. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about postpartum and then I want to also talk about where you're at with your pregnancy.
I want to hear everything that you've been going through this past week. And a lot's been going on. How are you feeling? How are you settling in? How's she sleeping? How's the nursing? How do your boobs feel? All the things.
Well, I'm glad it's today that we're talking because it's been a little bit of a journey in this last week. As we talked about on the birth story, I hemorrhaged after giving birth. And then they gave me these medicines that made me throw up a bunch. So I was really depleted, right?
Sarah and medicine doesn't always gel very well.
it was such a funny, I mean, I told this already, but it was such a funny thing because I'm like literally sitting there with eating a pretzel and I'm like, oh, wow, pretzel doesn't taste very good. What? And just started like eating everywhere. Everywhere. Like, where did that come from? What's happening? Am I okay? Like, it was so weird. Anyway, so we spent that night in the hospital. That was like the night of her birth. She was born at like 12:37 a.m. Right. So we slept there that night, and then we had to be there the whole next day to the 24-hour mark for them to come in and do the 24-hour like tests that they do.
Yeah. So it was 2 sleepovers, 2 nights sleepovers.
Really. Yeah. And then the next morning they did a lot to like get me out. We did like, the hearing screening and like all that stuff. So that was all good. I was really sore.
What parts of your body? Tell me.
My bottom,
Your
my
bum.
vagina,
Your vag.
my
Yeah. How's your
abs.
tummy? Yeah, your abs because of the pushing.
My abdomen was pretty sore. It just felt it just felt like I don't know, just like kind of intense on the sides, and then mostly my bottom was bothering me. And then the day that I was leaving, they gave me an iron infusion there, and then they wanted to give me one more, but they'd already taken out my IV, and they tried to get a vein 3 times, and there was nothing wrong with my veins. They were just like, we're sorry, we're having an off day. And so they had poked me like 3 times.
You're like, I am over this.
It's like, forget it. I don't want to do it. I'm like, I'll do it at home. I'll like get an infusion later, or I'll take oral iron, but I can't do this. Can't be poked anymore. So we ended up leaving, and then I've been in bed the whole time, this whole week, but a couple days later, it was like Friday night. So I got home on Wednesday. On Friday night, I was nursing baby when I started to feel like a pain in my arm. And I was like, what is that? And I turned the lights on, and I was like kind of pressing on my arm. And I'll show you guys. This is like the end of it now. But you see this line?
I do see it.
Okay. So the line is a blood clot. And it, when it started, it felt like a cord, like they had left something inside of my arm. It felt like a cord, but it's actually a blood clot. And so I didn't know that yet, but I was like, oh, this is really hard. And it like really hurts. By the next morning, it was like kind of red. And so I wrote my doctor about it, and she was coming on Sunday. So Saturday, she was coming to see me Sunday, and she had me take pictures of it, keep an eye on it. It wasn't super red yet. By Sunday, it was like super red. So she came and looked at it, and she was like, it's a blood clot, and then it's an infection. So I had to go on like this like really heavy antibiotic.
My God. And you were shaking, your body was shaking, you said.
The first night of the antibiotic, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I started shaking like uncontrollably. So I called out to Eric, and I was like, I can't stop shaking. He was sleeping with Esme, and I had Winter and Ocean in here. And he like came in and he was like, oh my gosh, I checked my temperature, jumped in bed. He like sat behind me right here in this Viking hot body and like wrapped me up and, warmed my body up to help like calm the shakes, because it was like a
my
cold
gosh.
thing. And so I nursed her, and I changed her, and I fed her while he was like holding on to me. And we laid like that for like hours just to kind of like calm my body down. But we found out from the doctor that actually was like all this, all the like things in my body that were sort of fighting the infection. It like can cause stuff like the shakes.
Wow.
So yeah, even without a fever. So anyway, so that was pretty crappy. And then like Monday I was still out of it. And then Tuesday, like I was still kind of out of it. And then today I'm like, okay, I'm feeling way more like
yourself. And you said you had the hormonal dip. You experienced that.
Day 3, I had the hormonal dip. I was like thinking about, like the kids are, off doing like some stuff, and I don't know, I just got like emotional being like in so much pain, and then I don't
being
know.
left behind. You're like at the house and they're all off doing the things that they're doing.
That happened to me before, right? I've talked about that on the podcast before. It's like the kids would go off and do stuff and
FOMO.
And then, but it's so funny because like in the day I'm fine, but then for some reason at night I'm like more emotional, and I was like cry. I had like tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's day 3. Of course. I'm like so emotional. Everything was making me cry. Eric came over and gave me a hug and told me he was so proud of me and he loved me. And I started crying. And then, later he was like, he was like that was like, he multiple times talked about how it was like really scary.
Yeah.
And was like so grateful that she's okay and that I'm okay. And of course I'm like tears in my eyes. But also I had it again 3 days later. And so like day 6 where I was like crying, I sobbed for like 30 minutes at night.
Oh my gosh.
Sobbed.
Well, if you think about, I sent her this voice message the other day because I get to watch her birth video a lot. And I haven't just watched it once. I will just like continue. I just watched it again and showed my midwives who are here. Yeah. And I was like, you need to see this doctor in action. She's unbelievable. And then my midwives were like nerding out over the video. They're like, oh, that's the Roberts maneuver. I see the technique. Yep. Oh, the crank with the, they were so into it, but they were also both of them were like visibly like, that's really hard. That's really tough. And
emergency. I mean,
it is,
like,
and they both of them were like, wow, that's got the heart rate racing. Like in that situation, that's really hard. And I've watched it a bunch of times. But then I said to Sarah, like the next morning, it was like a couple of days ago, I was like, let's just rewind to the beginning of the year here.
Yeah, I know.
The things that you have had to go through this year and of course they've been the highest of highs, but also the lowest of lows. And like watching you, the way you got through those moments because I'm watching you in the video mainly. I'm watching you and how you're vocalizing and how you're being, and I'm just like, there's this kind of unwavering Viking strength coming out of you. And I was like, you have had to shoulder so much this year. And that is the way I would describe it. It's like the strength in you is so remarkable that there've got to be those moments of quiet where like you start to process everything and suddenly it's very overwhelming. And it's like, how did I get through this? Everyone's here safe. We're in a beautiful home, but we've also been to hell and back. And that is, it's such an accomplishment where you are now and what you've done and what you've achieved. I'm like in awe of you. And this is just the cherry on top. I just like your birth and how you got through that.
Oh my God. What's crazy? I talked about this in the birth story, that moment where I talked about how, my labor was so incredible and so beautiful and everything that I wanted it to be, right? It wasn't until the pushing that it became complicated, but the labor part was just amazing. And I hit that moment in labor where I was like so joyful. And then my mind went to, oh my God, we've been through so much this year. And now we're going to meet this baby. And here she comes, and I just started like crying in labor. And I was like vocalized because my son was right across from me. He was like holding the yoga ball. And I was like holding his hand and I was like, I'm not crying because I'm in pain or anything. I want you to know, like, I came out of a contraction and then I was like talking to him. But I was like, I'm having a release. This is a release, like in birth right now, which is that everything that we've been through to get to this point, how long we waited for her, like how many pregnancy losses that we had and how many pregnancies that we had where we thought, this is it, and then to like, get through the house and the evacuations and like all the things that we went through.
And moving to a different part of
schools and the uncertainty and the new doctor and the new town and the new everything. And I was just like, this is just such a release right now. And I was just like crying. And then I was like back in it. Here comes another contraction. Woo, and I was just like, oh. Okay. But it felt so good. And it's so true that in birth, like so much does come up. So you really want to try to like think about all the things beforehand, that could potentially be a roadblock. And for me, it was like not a roadblock, but almost like a celebration of like, this is our next chapter. And I need to release this. Is a lot of emotion behind this,
Mm.
And it was very powerful, a super powerful part of my birth experience before the complications started.
Oh my God.
So it was amazing. I mean, we really ran the gamut, but
it was colorful, very, very colorful. All the colors.
Now we're this is so funny in this lighting. It looks so pale. Anyway,
she's so cute. And also you guys are getting to hear all those little baby noises. I know, so cute.
It's the like puppy sleeping noises too.
That was a prairie noise. That one was a prairie noise. People were like, wow, the baby sounds like a 3-year-old. That's weird. Yeah.
Mommy having a baby.
Yeah. Okay. So more postpartum stuff. Boobs have been pretty good. I didn't get too engorged.
Oh, heaven. Like milk came in on what day?
2.5.
Oh, that's so good.
So it was like,
oh, she's having a dream.
You're okay.
That was like a little piglet. That sounded like a little squealing piglet.
I'm having a baby dream.
She's having a dream.
I'm having a little baby.
The baby's having a dream, Prairie.
The newborn sounds are so funny.
They're the cutest. That little squeal.
Oh my gosh. It's like puppies.
And your baby, because I often say to expect the baby to lose weight in the first week or two, or like, don't worry, it'll take 2 weeks for them to get back up to the birth weight. But your milk's obviously like dynamite because she's heavier.
Yeah, by the time I got home from the hospital, it looked much thicker and creamier. So I was like, oh, I must be getting my milk now. And my boobs were getting harder and bigger. And they got like, they're like painfully large.
Yeah.
They look insane. Yeah, it's like shocking. But like they didn't get so hard that it like was painful like it normally is,
Yeah.
So, and maybe it's because she's like drinking a fair amount. I went to her 1 week appointment and when she was born, she was 11.4, like 11 pounds, 4 ounces. When we were at the hospital, after her first like couple poops, she was like 11 pounds, 1 ounce. And then, by the time we got to her 1 week appointment, she's 11 pounds, 12 ounces. So she gained.
She's drinking.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't fit into newborn clothes. Does she?
She's only in 3 months clothes.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm so glad I just sent you off a little package. But I was like, I'm so glad I didn't pick, because the woman in the shop's like, so how old is she? I was like, 1 week. She was like, here we go. Here's, and I was like, no, we're going to go for the next size. We're going to do 3 to 6. Oh my gosh, so good. That's so
I
good.
have 2 of these for you. These are this onesie is so cute, but it's like
gosh.
it's like
little Velcro.
But it's skin to skin, so it keeps their pants on.
Oh.
It's just
Oh my God,
easy.
cute. Look at that.
And it's Velcro. So like it's really nice for nighttime changing too.
Well, you told me about the nightie. And so I went to Pure Baby. Ow, my rib. Oh, God. I have to do this weird cough where I'm not actually coughing, but I'm clearing my throat. Sorry about that.
Holding your rib in place. Can a chiropractor chime in here, you guys? Like, go to the chiropractor.
I know. My midwives today were like, it was the first time they were meeting each other for the first time. And then I just said first time, they were meeting each other twice in a row. Anyway, that's where I'm at. They both were like, so what's the plan here? Like, what are you going to do with this rib? Because in true Teresa nature, I'll be like, oh, it'll go away at some point. But it is really uncomfortable.
You got to go into a chiro and be like, how do we fix this? Also, I got acupuncture and chiropractic work when I did the same exact thing with my rib with Wyatt. And
yes,
so much.
You are proactive with that stuff, and I need to take a leaf out of your book. I sent my iron to Sarah the other day because I knew she'd have something to say about it, because I'm like, do you think this is at low enough level for me to get an iron infusion? And funnily enough, Sarah was like right down there too. Her ferritin level was like basically the same, like one lower than mine.
Yeah, one lower than yours. Mine was pretty low. And then I took oral iron. I didn't do the infusion before I waited until after.
I do think I'm not going to do the infusion. They did say today in the meeting, they were like, I think this is manageable with like really upping the iron sachets, like the liquid ingestible iron. And I was like, I'm on it. I'm doing it. They're like, let's just do that for a month. Let's see what happens. And then we'll go from there. So, okay, tell me a bit about, I want to hear, I find this, a lot of people are like, this is the worst part of postpartum, but I really love the like getting woken up by the little noises in the middle of the night. Like, I just love it. I get all excited to wake up to them. Tell me about like has she fallen into a bit of a have you noticed a pattern and a routine with her sleep, or like, is it every 90 minutes? Like, tell me kind of what that looks like.
It's really funny. So like we've had one night where it was like she slept 4 hours, woke up, slept 4 hours, woke up, like, you know, that, which was amazing. But also I was like a psycho because I was like waking up and checking on her and then like laying back down and going to sleep and waking up and being like, should I wake her up? Like my boobs are
yeah.
It's just like, oh, you know, but I pushed it all the way to the 4 hour mark. And then I was like, okay, now I have to wake her up. And then the next night, it was like she would only sleep like 2 hours, and then she would wake up and want milk, and she'd want milk from both sides, and she'd poop, and I'd change her diaper, and then, you know, she'd have another little like top off, and then she'd poop again, and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to change her diaper again, and then I'd change her diaper again, and then hold her up, burp her, and then finally lay her down, you know?
Oh my gosh.
So we did that where it's like every couple hours, you know, the next night. And then last night she like wanted to be held most of the night because I think she had like a tummy situation. But the night before that, she was sleeping every 4 hours again. So there's nothing consistent. The only consistent thing right now is that from like 11 to 2, she sleeps pretty solid. And then she really sleeps solid, like in getting closer to the evening hours. Like now, like she sleeps like a lot, like from like 5-ish to like 7, 8. And then she wakes up again and eats and like it's changed and everything. And then goes back down again at like 9-ish. So anyway, it's
cute.
I get really sleepy. It's hard to like wake up, but I put snacks by my bed. So at night, if I'm really tired, I just start eating.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat like trail mix and like crackers and things like that, and like wake myself up a little bit because I'll get really tired.
And your sleeping situation, you described it as so it goes winter, you baby.
So this would be a controversial topic, probably. I have a barrier that's like a hard barrier in the bed that separates us so that
she has her own sleeping space.
She has her own sleeping space. She has her own
safe co-sleeping.
Yeah, she has her own little like cot in the bed, like that's, you know, hard and like.
I did that too. I had like what's it called? The bed nest? I had something in the bed where you could roll over and you could feel the edge of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when she's a little bit bigger, I'll just have her in the bed with me. Like, separated from Winter. Winter kind of has her like own space and she's separated off on her own. But when the baby's just like a little bit bigger, then I'll have her.
And does Winter wake up when she wakes up or not? She just passes, she's asleep the whole. Oh, so my kids are like that, really deep sleepers.
If she's like in a good deep sleep, I also have put her in, I have this like, wicker bassinet next to the bed.
I saw that.
And I put her in that too. And she actually really likes it too. So as long as she can feel the sort of walls of the like nest or the whatever you call it.
Around her, she feels.
Around her, and then she's good because she puts her hands up by her face. I don't swaddle her because she's so big.
I was going to ask you if you did. And also, she loves the hand on the face. That's her thing.
That's her thing. And I did at the hospital. They did, you know, they did a lot of swaddling at the hospital. They love doing that because it's like, you know, easier because the baby's just calmed down and all that. But for me, like the bigger babies, they bust out of the swaddle so quickly that it almost feels like a misstep for me to like get into a pattern with swaddling with them, because then so quickly I'm having to like, okay, now they have to settle on their own. I really like just feeding her, changing her, burping her, topping her off again, and then laying her in her own bed space, like you know, in my bed or next to the bed, and letting her sort of like fall into sleep on her own without. I'll put my hand on her chest as we're going to sleep, but like on her back safely, away from any pillows or bedding for anyone who's and freaking out. But like that, I think that works best for like long term.
Yeah. I used to do a combination of those things. I used to have the snoo next to the bed, which is like her bassinet or their bassinet. And then they'd do their long stretch in the snoo, wake up and then into the bed. And they'd be in like a little bed nesty thing in the middle of the bed. And it's so funny. I know you're saying that like how you guys have always done it is Eric sleeps in with one of the other kids and you do all the sort of nighttime feeds and changes and everything. I was thinking back to when Mark left when I was 3 days postpartum with Prairie. But I was like, oh my God, Sarah's such a rock star that she just like, she does all the changes and she does everything throughout the night. Like, that's so amazing because usually Mark and I sleep. It's so funny. We actually sleep better together, him and I. Yeah. And even though he's such a pain in the ass because he wants the room freezing cold and I want the room hot. That's the only annoying thing.
You can't have it freezing cold in postpartum, though. Your body can't.
That's right. That's exactly right. But I remember when he left, when he was in America shooting something, and I had 4 kids, 7 and under, but it was just me and the newborn in the bed. And you just kind of, I mean, you've always done this, but I remember at the time being quite nervous about like, oh my God, Mark's not going to do, because I would boob and then hand baby over and he would do the burp and the change. Or the change first, and then I would nurse and he would burp so I could go back to sleep. And I remember feeling quite nervous about like, oh God, I've got to do all of this. Plus I've got to do all the school runs and I'm only a few days postpartum and blah, blah, blah. But actually I got into this routine where it's like it almost in some ways, but I was just like on autopilot. I was like, dude, I knew my thing. I could keep the bed, like there were wipes on the bed. There was like, I remember throwing dirty diapers like on the floor in the middle of the night, just like I'll deal with that in the morning. And it became this just like little cave of postpartum. And I was really efficient at it. And I feel like you are like that. And you've always been that way.
Well, I have my little diaper caddy in the middle of the bed at the like foot of the bed, right? So there's like the barrier wall where Winter's on the other side. So on my side, it's like the diaper caddy with the wipes and the diapers and an extra change of clothes. And then I have like a blanket and a burp cloth that's laid out already on the blankets.
Ready for the change.
Yeah, that's for the change. And then, so then I'll like sit up, feed her on both sides, you know, do a change if she's pooped, burp her, and then like probably feed her again. But it's so like just with my salt lamp, everything's really quiet and everything's really like dark in the room. And I feel like when you're not changing hands a lot, when you're just sort of like, okay, she's on me and then I'm changing her and then she's back on me again. And then I can like very gently like lay her down in her cot, that like keep her into this like sort of Zen sleep mode, you know? And like I used to, with my first, it was like I would do all the things and then I would get up and like rock him for so long.
Oh my,
and
I remember doing that with Bodhi. You said get up and rock and pat and rock him.
I was rocking. Like, what was I doing? Like, I should have just like let him go back to sleep or like rolled him over and laid him down. But I was like getting up and I was on the ball. I would be on the ball for like an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to get him to go to sleep. And I'm just like, I was doing so much more. And now I like don't even move from my spot.
Totally.
I'll like lay her down and then I go pee usually and then come back and like that's it. That's as much movement that happens.
This is really good for first time mums to listen to, because if I could go back to my first time mum self, there are so many things that I'd be like, you don't need to do that. Don't worry about doing that. Like, do you remember like back then it was like every pee, I was changing every pee during the night. I was rocking. I have footage of me leaving a dinner when I was in Tahiti shooting something and being out the front, rocking the baby for like an hour, trying to get the baby to sleep. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I just put the baby just on the body? And like, if baby goes to sleep, baby goes to sleep, chuck him on the bed. You know, it's like, it was more regimented or something.
Yeah. I have like a little wastebasket next to the bed too that I like toss the diapers in at night. And then the diaper, like every morning, like Eric like takes that and puts it in the diaper bin and like brings me my coffee and like all of that stuff, you know?
You're very inspiring in postpartum. And actually my midwives today, they're so cool. They're both like old school and have like been doing this for 30 years. They were like, so what would you like different this time? And I was like, I'm channeling Sarah in postpartum this time. And let me tell you what Sarah does. She allows other people to help her. She allows Eric to like help in the mornings and Sonya to take the kids to school and to get their lunch and to get their breakfast and to do the school runs. And I was like, I think because my recovery is always chill, I just convince myself that I can get up and out of bed a few days postpartum. And then I get that FOMO thing that you were talking about. Yeah. And I was like, I want to do the school play and I end up like putting 4 kids in a car. And I mean, obviously last time with Prairie, I didn't really have the choice because I only have my mom. And I had kids going to different things at different times. But I said this time round, what would that be like to lie in bed for? Imagine if I could make the whole 40 days. I was like, at least 20. I'm gonna ask for 20 with Mark and Mum, and I hope I haven't set the precedent with both of them. That, you know, I feel like I have set the precedent. Like, I'll just get up and go and do it and be a part of it. And woo, it doesn't matter that I have a 1-week-old. I'm going to ask for that this time around, like just lying in bed and
I
with
think
my
you
baby.
could. I mean, 5 days in the bed, 5 days around the bed. And then from there, you go days like out. You can go out in your house, but like you don't leave until, 40 days, right? You're not like leaving to go somewhere. Now you can dial that back if that's too much and there's stuff that you want to do or have to do or you feel amazing or whatever. But if you think about the wound that's inside of you that's healing and the amount of time it takes for that to heal, and what you need to do, like, warming foods are very healing, like nourishing foods, things that make you feel really good. Like Sonya is our nanny. You guys know she's a doula and she has such a passion for postpartum because she said that like her mom had babies back to back and really she had no one to take care of her. And she was in a country that like her family wasn't there, right? She's from Japan. And so she really like, it made her so sad that, that her mom didn't have that. And she's like, I really want to give that to you and like give me that that time in postpartum to like recover and for everybody to really understand the importance of it, because culturally we don't honor that in our country and in our culture. And we really don't like give women the space to actually heal. It's not even about like, oh, I feel really good, so I'm going to go and like do all this stuff now. But you don't realize like even the wound where your placenta was, where it had to release, like that wound needs time to heal, and all your organs are finding their way back to like where they were supposed to be. Yeah. And you don't realize that it causes problems later on. And so the one time that I really did this was with Winter, and it was such a different experience. Like my baby was so much more chill. I was so much more chill. And like, even though some parts of it, you have that FOMO feeling sometimes, you can also vocalize that and say, hey, can we do game night in the bed tonight or in the room? Or, you know what I mean? And then switch it up. Like
sometimes they think they're probably doing you a favor by being like, I'm taking all the kids out, and you can vocalize like, hey, yes. Do you mind? Like, why don't we actually have pizza night like in the bedroom tonight? Totally. Like, don't take them.
The first 2 nights in the hospital, I wanted Eric there the whole time, and I wanted his like help, right? Because I was definitely struggling with my body. So I like needed help getting to the bathroom. I needed like all of that stuff. Like it was like walking to the bathroom was hard for me. And I needed someone to like hold my hand and stuff like that. Right. But then once I was home, I really was like, I want you to like sleep with Esme, and I want to sleep in here and get into this like little rhythm. Because I also think it's so good to have a person who's had a night of sleep.
Yeah. And he needs his some people need their sleep to function. And if you're asking him to function with the kid, all your other kids, and to be on point, knowing he's had a well-rested night and can show up for the others.
The partnership is above and beyond. And cleans all day. He does all the laundry. He does like, he's like vacuuming everything, cleaning everything, doing the trash, like bringing the coffee, getting drinks. Like, he's so on it. But the nighttime, I actually prefer, and it's just because of me and my like sort of system that I get in. I prefer to do the nighttime myself. Because I feel like everything just stays really calm in this space. It really doesn't have anything to do with him. He offers. And one night when I had the shakes, I was like, Eric! And then he was here.
Get in here. Yeah. It's so funny. I'm the anomaly of my friends. Like all my friends have what like you and Eric were talking about in the podcast, where all my friends' husbands sleep in a different room. I am people think it's so weird that I sleep in the same bed with my husband. They're like, why would you do that? Like, how do you guys get good sleep? I just don't understand. Like, you know, and their husbands often like, you know, like Eric, like in a bed with another kid or whatever in another room.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I think because I listen to too much true crime, I'm like, I hook my ankle, like I put my ankle over his ankle.
Yes.
And I'm always like, if I hear any noise in the middle of the night, we're both light sleepers. If I hear any noise, I'll kick him and make him go up and investigate. Like, get out of bed and go and investigate. Like, this is my own paranoia. But it is funny, like, you hear more and more in like these marriages that the flow of that works so much better for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really just depends. Like, you know, I really enjoy sleeping in the same bed as him, but I do think it like really works really well with our kids, and just like, you know, I like having my kids in the bed. And it's harder for him when the kids, you know, they snuggle up to me and for some reason they kick him. So, you know, if he's getting kicked all night long, then that's not going to work. So, but,
and what about, I want to hear about kind of what's the routine at the house like? So you will wake up in the morning with her, and then does Sonya bring you breakfast in the morning, like the postpartum doula stuff? Like, will she make like a nourishing breakfast for you and bring it into you, and then she does the school run, or Eric does the school run?
Well, the kids aren't in school. That's the nice thing, is we're like able to be home together. Yeah, this is like such a different time for us, because it used to be that Eric would take the kids to school, because I had like, you know, about like the end of summer, beginning of school babies.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're at the beginning of your summer.
Yeah, so we're all home together.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so it's really like, it's actually really chill. So we wake up in the morning, and usually it's Eric bringing me coffee in the morning. He like checks to see if I'm awake. And then Wyatt multiple times has come and gotten in bed with me and taken the baby and holds her for like an hour while I sleep. And he'll just like sit here and hold her. Yeah. Or as they will do that. Winter usually stays asleep for that hour. And then, or I'll be awake because I had a good night's sleep, and then I'll drink my coffee and we'll sit and chat while they hold the baby. And then Sonya brings like the nourishing like oats. So it's like a, you know, really good for breastfeeding, but has like fruit and like that molasses in it and like things like that. And so there's like an oat porridge thing that I have, and this like Mexican cacao drink in postpartum that has masa in it.
Yum.
So good. So that, and she brings me like a snack and then makes lunch. Like, this is a full postpartum plan.
And is she going to do the belly wrap on you?
Yes. So we have the belly bind, and we're going to do that. I think tomorrow we're doing like the oil herbs on the belly, and then doing
Oh my gosh.
We're going to do it today, but then we got interrupted. But yeah, it's so good.
Oh, I'm so glad you get to have your other kids around and they're there for this transition and they're not having to just jump back into school. My kids will be in school when my baby comes. And I was like, do I let them have a couple of weeks off, you know, at that time?
I might. I would maybe... for anything, I would think about like how the germs part of it. That's so hard, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because in those first, I don't know what it's like in Australia. In America, like if a baby gets a fever over a certain number in the first like few weeks, it's really serious. They have to like take it to the hospital and all that stuff. So,
so have you limited your visitors, or have you had some visitors?
I've had a couple, but that's it. Like I have limited visitors. I don't really like, you know, I mean, obviously I have a girlfriend that lives down the street, and she's come and like hung out with me. And then another friend who came over and brought food. Like we've had people who've like dropped food off and things like that, which has been really nice. And just popped in for like a minute, and said hi. But I've also been really out of it until today, like really out of it. It feels like the longest week ever because I was, in such a recovery mode.
Oh my gosh. You're doing all you're like the walking poster child of what to do in postpartum. I'm like, you need to write your postpartum book. Like this needs to be your next book. I feel
really lucky that I have Sonya because, but in a lot of cultures, it's people's family that do this for them. It's like the mom or the sisters or like, are making the food and the Sonya
we all need a Sonya.
I know. She went home on the weekend and Eric got up and he made me breakfast and then he brought me snack and then he brought me like my warming drink and then he spent like 45 minutes cutting the biggest fruit plate I've ever seen in my whole life. I did not need to eat this much fruit. I love you.
That's so
I was
cute.
like, is this all for me? And he was like, yes. And I was like,
yes, it is.
A cup of trail mix that was like this big with like chocolate chips in it and all that stuff.
Yum.
I was like, oh, amazing. So he like did all the food and everything for those 2 days and it was incredible. So like your partner can do it too, like if they're available and around, and it's like so nice to just be able to set yourself up like that beforehand with family or friends or, my first baby, I made tons of food and I put it in the freezer and I had it all ready to go for postpartum so that I could like pop those things into the oven or whatever so that I never had to like make a
think
meal
about it. Yes. That's daunting, the idea of like being up and about and cooking and doing.
Oh my gosh, you can't do it. That's like impossible.
She's such a good nurse. Look at her. She's doing such a good job. The perfect baby.
Okay, how can we talk about where you're at with pregnancy right now?
Yes, so I'm just about to be 29 weeks. So by the time this comes out,
gosh.
Yeah, I'll be maybe I'll be 30 weeks by the time this comes out. But I'm feeling good apart from this popped rib. That's like such an annoyance.
It is.
Baby's moving so much, really consistent times as well. Like I always know from 8 to 11, the baby's moving. Middle of the night, the baby's moving. First thing in the morning, baby's moving. And then during the day, not as much. And sometimes I'll be like, I'm just going to chomp on my ice to see if I can get baby to wriggle around a bit. Like,
I would baby's moving. My belly so much. I would poke her feet so much.
I know. I feel like I mush this baby around a lot. I finally feel set on the name. So that's something that's just dropped in. Like maybe 2 days ago. It just sort of dropped in, which is so funny because everyone said that is what was going to happen. And it's dropped in for Mark and for all the kids, and it just feels like really solidified, which is really cool. And then I've had my beautiful midwife, Julie, who got to have a little chat with Sarah before we started recording. She flew in with her husband to just come and talk about the birth and pregnancy. And the plan is for her I'll fly her out when I hit 39 weeks. Once she's got another girl due 3 weeks before me. So unless that girl goes to 42 weeks and I go early, then there could be a crossover. And then it was really beautiful today. So for the first time, my local midwife, Libby, who's really wonderful and very prolific here in Byron Bay as a midwife, and they're the same age bracket actually, like Julie and Libby.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really cool. 30 years experience, both of them. It was the meeting today. So all three of us sat around and we just talked about my dreams for the birth and what I want to do differently. And there are certain things that I want to do differently that we talked about. Like, I don't want my water to get broken out of fear of this ISO immunization thing, which was always, that's why the last 2 births, my water was broken. And I said, I just don't want to do that this time. I want the baby to come when the baby's meant to come. And it's going to be on me to liberate myself from the fear of that. But the more experts we talk to with my ISO immunization, the fact that my numbers haven't risen up at all, the more I feel confident that the risk of anemia for my baby is so low. It's such a small low potential that this recommendation of birth between 38 to 39 weeks for ISO immunization pregnancies, I think that it's more for the cases that are more challenging with a sensitized pregnancy rather than my very mild, very rare antigen that I happen to have. So I did say that to them today. I was like, I will start getting wobbly. Like, just watch out for me getting wobbly in that 38, 39, 40 week mark where I'm going to start worrying about the baby. And if we can just ramp up the monitoring around that time, I will feel happy to let the body go into labor on its own. And the last 2, the body had already started laboring anyway. It was like I had a lot of prodromal labor, but I think I made that choice out of, direction from the expertise, the expert in this particular area. But I do think when I look back on it, it's kind of this blanketed recommendation. And I think if you look at me as an individual and how my babies have never actually been affected by this particular thing, I don't need to follow that kind of standard guideline. And my midwives, oh my God, sorry. My midwives agree with me. And so that's the current plan. So who knows? I'm saying mid-September, the baby will be here sometime in mid-September.
Oh my gosh. What if baby goes all the way to my birthday?
Oh my God. How heaven would that be?
Or Winter's birthday. Winter's birthday is the 15th.
I reckon I'll be right in that bracket between Winter's birthday and your birthday.
So cute. She's either going to be a Virgo or a Libra.
I know. And you said she. How funny is that?
Oh, I did. I think because I just had.
Yeah. I was like, I still really feel boy, but cool. She. I'm open to she, he, whatever. I'll have whatever.
Eric had a girl dog as a child. So every dog is a she to him. Like all of 2 male dogs. And he always says she or her. And I'm
that's
like,
so cute. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, you guys. Well, I have to zip off and go get my kids. I have a busy day today. Sarah, thank you for unpacking all of that. And I'm in awe of you. I mean, you already know this, but I am actually in awe of you. I think I have been raving about you to everyone. You're amazing.
I love you so much.
You're amazing. You're doing such a good job.
Thank you.
I love you.
Well, guys, you've been listening to the Mother Days and also to Newborn Squeaks. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You pew. Bye, daisies.